The Toronto Sports Card Expo is back and bigger than ever. Hey everyone, Rob Wong, pleased to be joined by the president and owner of the Sports Card and Memorabilia Expo, Steve Menzie. Steve, great to chat with you again ahead of the Fall Expo. I was at the Spring Expo in Toronto back in April, and as always, it's a great time, but the Fall Expo really is the marquee event of the two. I know you have expos in Edmonton and Montreal as well. No offense to those shows, but in my opinion, this is sort of the Super Bowl of you, if you will, of the Canadian card and memorabilia shows. You're constantly working around the clock to improve this show every year. How would you compare this one to previous ones?
Yeah, and no offense taken. I mean, it's been an interesting run since COVID because, to your point, historically the fall show has always been bigger. I think the return to hockey, the Upper Deck Series 1, and a variety of other things. But every show since COVID had gotten bigger and bigger. And sort of April was the first time since COVID that it hadn't been bigger than the previous. And it's because the previous one was last November, where we had on-site grading for the first time. We had a guest list that included Mike Tyson, Carey Price, Ric Flair, and a bunch of other great things. So that was kind of a peak. But this one, this next weekend will be physically the biggest show that we've done to date. There'll be over 200,000 square feet of everything related to the hobby. And I know that when I first took over the show in 2016, it was about 75,000. So the combination of where the hobby's been and just the growth of the show, I'm pretty thrilled with that. And the great thing is that the growth has been really organic. We weren't even able to accommodate all of the dealers that want to get in, but I think everyone's there to celebrate everything that the Expo has become. And after the national in the US, this is the biggest show that there is. So it's just about continuing to listen to dealers to try and bring more and more exciting things. I go to other shows, both in the hobby and outside of the hobby, to get ideas of how to just enhance the collector and the fan experience.
Now, I know one thing you mentioned, on-site grading, and that's something that sports card enthusiasts really get excited for. You're going to have that available for this weekend show. What can hobbyists look forward to with regards to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been doing on-site grading for the past few shows through Beckett, through Canadian companies KSA and MNT. But last November was the first time we also had PSA in the mix, and that was the first show outside of the national that PSA has ever done. So this show again will have on-site grading by the four just mentioned: PSA, Beckett, MNT, and KSA, and also on-site will be both SGC and CGC doing submissions. In fact, CGC is also doing comic and magazine submissions as well. So a whole bunch of everything that in that sense. And that spread further into the authentication piece and the auction as well.
Lastly, I think a lot of sports fans come for the autograph signings as well. And you mentioned some of the names that have been in there from the past, whether it's a Mike Tyson or a Ric Flair. Every year, every expo, it seems to bring in a lot of headliners. Who are some of the athletes and celebs that people can expect to see at this weekend show?
Yeah, so it's as we continue, it is still primarily a hockey show, but again, another of my goals has been to really broaden that to better reflect the state of the market as it is now in Toronto and in Canada, and just responding to people's needs. So we still have a ton of hockey headliners, of course. We have three of the Hall of Fame inductees: Shea Weber, Jeremy Roenick, and Nyla Darwitz, and then of course there's Tim Thomas. We've got some surprising surprising to me, guys that are doing exceptionally well. Frank and Pete Mahovlich will be there together. Jocelyn Gouvernement, Terry Harper, a number of very popular guys that don't sign a lot. So there's a fair bit going on from that perspective. On the baseball side, we of course have Toronto Canadian hero Joe Carter. We've got a couple of current Jays as well. We've got three of the current Leafs coming in Benoit McMahon and Max Domi. We've got it was kind of a Gary Payton, the glove from the NBA. That's been a goal of mine, is to bring more NBA and other sports as well. And then of course we're going a little off menu with respect to some of the entertainment celebrities with 5 of the cast of Baywatch. So it's quite a mix.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and should be a great show as always. Steve, if people want to get tickets for the Sport Card Expo or for any of the autograph guests, where can they go?
You go online to sportcardexpo.com. Admission tickets are available online throughout the show. Autograph tickets are available online only until Wednesday at 5 p.m., and then tickets will be available on site at the door.
All right, awesome. Thanks so much, Steve.
Thanks for your time, Mark.